Recording is in progress. Okay. Thank you. Don't drive and watch this meeting though. Okay. Don't do that. Okay. You scared me. I'm going to welcome everyone to the meeting in about 5 minutes and just give people a little more time to get on. We did have a pretty good audience sign on for this meeting. We have about 50 or 60 people by this point who are interested in what my presenters here, my lovely presenters, Elizabeth, Katie, and Ellen, have to say to us this evening. In the meantime, I'll say that I'm Nancy Hendley and I work here at Caring Kind, and I'm a dementia care trainer, and I train home care attendants and also family members to help them deal with people who have dementia. I want to thank everyone for coming to this meeting tonight. I'm very excited because this is a lovely, enjoyable meeting where we get to really look at some rich cultural institutions from New York City and get to see what they have to offer you. So if you're interested in finding out about programs, you can certainly connect with the leader, the manager of Connect to Culture here, Meredith Wong, and you can ask Meredith what's going on here. And I'm going to put Meredith's email and also her phone number in the chat. And then I'm going to encourage our guests to put your information, Elizabeth, Katie, and Ellen, to put your information in the chat so that if people would like to reach you or reach your program, they can do that. So if you want to do that, you can do that and we'll load it all up at the same time. There we go. Okay.
I'm not sure what's going on.
Patrice, is that you? No. Okay. Can you mute yourself, Patrice? Hi. Sharon, who asked that question? I'm willing to answer it. We're kind of waiting for people to get onto the meeting right now. I know it takes a little while for people when we're doing this virtually, so I'm just waiting for people to get onto the meeting. I have placed my Meredith Wong, who runs the Connect to Culture program here at Caring Kind. I placed her information in the chat. I know Elizabeth just put her information in the chat and haven't seen everybody else's yet. Yes. Katie, can you put your information from Lincoln Center in the chat, please, for everyone?
Yes, I've put it in there.
You did. Okay.
Just above Ellen's.
Oh, I see. You guys were much faster than me. Okay. So the information from our presenters is also in the chat if you want to look into the chat right now and get the information from how do you connect with them. And we're going to go ahead and start. So I'd like to introduce to you Katie Fanning. Katie is the Accessibility Programs Manager at Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts. She's been involved with Lincoln Center Moments since its 2-program pilot season in 2016. And this year, Lincoln Center Moments will have 8 programs in the fall season and 8 programs in the spring with both virtual and in-person programs. And so we're going to have each of our speakers talk to you about their programs for about 20 minutes today, and we'll share the programs that way. All right, ready, Katie?
Great, thank you so much, Nancy. And hello, everyone. Really nice to get to connect with you this evening. So happy to share about the programs that we have available at Lincoln Center. Can I just get a quick thumbs up if everyone can hear me? Great, seeing thumbs up, awesome. So Lincoln Center has many programs that are happening all year round, lots of events happening on campus as a performing arts campus, many free programs that are open to the general public. But tonight I'm here to talk about Lincoln Center Moments, which is our program specifically for folks with dementia and their caregivers and their loved ones. As Nancy said, this program started in 2016, inspired by the amazing work that was happening at museums around the city, like the Intrepid Museum, the Folk Art Museum, MoMA. We were seeing all these wonderful programs happening and not seeing them in a performing arts space. So this program's been happening since 2016. Also, as Nancy said, we have virtual offerings now. Post-pandemic, we've expanded to be virtual, but I'm going to start us off by showing a video that's from 2019. This video has a little bit of information about the program, and you'll hear from some participants and some of the educators who work on the program to get a sense of what one of these days is. Then I'll dive into the details about the programs that we have coming up this year and a little bit more into the nitty-gritty of the structure. So I'm going to share my screen and show this video.
Music is a part of how we are. Music is very much a part of how we are. And I think what I've seen from my wife, for Sandy, is she also has been enjoying it tremendously. And
You got me going.
got you going. And this is a unique program for people living with Alzheimer's. We're listening to music, we're watching dance, we're getting an opportunity to interact with the performers in a way that we might never have a chance to do. And then we go into a nice small group activity for another hour. And the joking around and the kidding around, it's very engaging. It involves us and taps into something helpful and very therapeutic.
I feel that music heals people's souls, and to see persons who have dementia enjoying themselves, seeing everyone happy, we made a connection between the music and them.
It's the moments that really connect, and it's all about those beautiful moments that happen when someone is in a live, interactive, music-based experience that really helps them to get in touch with that creative part of themselves that is so important and vital.
The Lincoln Center Moments program really speaks to her love of music.
The music makes us feel okay and relaxing.
And the art programs afterwards that we go to are critical. They cement what it is that was focused upon during the musical performance. It's a very warm and inviting environment.
It's like a home for all of us.
Creative art therapy can help support someone with dementia because it brings them to the present moment. It helps enhance memory, increase communication and socialization, and it allows them to have a safe and supportive environment where they can gain a sense of control.
The community that's made during the performances is just phenomenal. And this room creates a safe space to be who you are.
All right. So again, in that video, you heard from some participants from a couple of years ago, as well as some educators who work with us on the program, and one of the musicians who worked with us a couple of years ago. So just to give you a sense of what those programs are in the room, I'm now going to share my screen again with some slides to walk through the virtual and in-person programs that we have at present. I'd love to encourage, if you have questions that pop up as I'm talking, feel free to put them into the chat, or if you know how to raise your hand on Zoom, you can do that. If there's something burning and you'd like to come off mute, feel free to do so, and I'll try to get to questions as they come up, but there'll also be time at the end to talk through any questions that you have. So sharing my screen again, and So what you see on the screen here, it says Lincoln Center Moments, and we have an image from this past spring from, I think this was April of 2022. We have a stage set up and it's dancers from the Mark Morris dance group who are performing one of their pieces. When we have performances in person, they're always in this room, which is the Kaplan Penthouse at Lincoln Center. Performances are an hour long. And as you can see, we have the audience set up. Everybody is masked. All of the audience members are masked and are seated in pods. So we're social distancing to the best of our ability inside the room. And for this past spring, we also had folks, everyone who needed to show proof of vaccination and booster. We had testing in place for artists and facilitators too. So just giving that information, which I'll touch on again later. So for our virtual programs, I don't have recording or really great images from these because we don't record those sessions, but on the screen here, you see an image of a woman singing. She's by a tree and it says Rusalka with the Met Opera Guild, which was one of the programs that we did this past spring online on Zoom. So virtual programs adapt the program that already existed in person to exist in a Zoom meeting just like this one. These programs are 90 minutes long in the afternoon on set dates throughout the fall. The Zoom meetings, like I said, are just like this, so we can see everybody. Everybody has the opportunity to engage and interact. I'm just opening up the chat because I think there may be a couple of questions. Yes, Marcy, your question, events are free. These are all free. And yes, I will certainly share how to sign up for the programs. Going back to what's on the slide, we have artists for these Zoom meetings, for these virtual programs who are from the constituents on Lincoln Center's campus. So that means the Met Opera, New York City Ballet, New York Philharmonic, all bring in teaching artists and artists to present. For example, the program that we did with the Metropolitan Opera, we had a performer who sang live on Zoom. We also had recorded clips from the Metropolitan Opera's version of Rusalka. So we showed short clips from that program, and then we had arts engagement activities built around that. The virtual programs are facilitated by educators who've been working with our program mostly for several years at this point and are experienced in working with folks with dementia and their caregivers. And those folks are supported and work in conjunction with music therapists who together they craft a lesson plan that is engaging and fun and is designed to just build connection. The workshops include art, music, and movement activities. So at the moment, our structure is that we always end with an art making activity, whether that is with materials that can be easily found at home, like a paper and pencil, or whether that is with materials that folks have signed up to receive by mail. So we'll send out collage materials or pieces that can be put together simply with a list of instructions for folks for how to use the materials that are in those art packages. And we always include Q&A with the artists. So it's an opportunity. We really think of these as sort of an intimate behind the scenes connection for folks to learn a little bit about a specific art form or to really engage further with a specific production. Marcy, I see your question in the chat. Are there any theater events? We work with everyone on Lincoln Center's campus. So we are always aiming to have all of our performing art forms covered. Theater is probably the least represented in our programs, but we have had theater events in the past. We certainly can have them on Zoom. In person, we're still sort of working out with COVID restrictions and making sure that everyone feels safe. We've been limiting the amount of performances that are based on spoken word or singing. As we know, performers will likely be unmasked, but it's certainly a hope for us to have more theater in our season. Moving forward, this is a picture from this past season, the Calidor String Quartet from the Chamber Music Society performing with us. As you can see, they're all masked. Switching over to talk about our in-person programs. This is an image again from this spring season with Ajna Dance Group, which are a New York City based group who perform Bollywood-inspired dances that fuse together lots of different dance styles from different regions of India, and are very much informed by being based in New York and a dance troupe of New Yorkers. So very, very fun program, and also very educational for the audience. It was really, really built as a way of exploring different dance styles from the Bollywood traditions. This, for in-person performances or programs, we have 2 performances a day. We have an 11 a.m. program and a 1 p.m. program. The 1 p.m. program is followed by a workshop. We know that some people just want to come for a performance and do not want to engage with a workshop. That's why we have those 2 different times. The workshops that follow the performances are in response to the themes of the performances, and they include music, movement, and art making, just like our virtual workshops do. Sorry, seeing a question in the chat. Working with 2 individuals with dementia, one is hearing impaired and the other is visually impaired. Are the programs accessible or a good fit for them? Great question. So when we have folks register for Lincoln Center Moments, we ask about any accommodations that we should be aware of. We have assistive listening devices available for all of the performances. All of our virtual programs are captioned. And when we have requests for audio description, we build that into the program too. So it's certainly something that we have done in the past, and we're happy to do based on the accommodations that are requested. We've also done language translation in the past. We had Spanish language translation for programs based on requests. Our goal is to make these programs as accessible as possible. And that's what our registration process supports. Final notes just about in-person programs. Just like virtual programs, we work both with the organizations on our campus, like the Met Opera, New York City Ballet, the New York Philharmonic, and also artists who were present in Lincoln Center's season. So Ajna Dance Group, who are on the screen, were performing elsewhere for Lincoln Center in the spring, and we were happy to have them join us specifically for this, to give that intimate behind the scenes look at their work. It is an interactive setup, so the performances are 1 hour long. There's usually a bit of space for back and forth with the performers, and certainly always time for question and answer at the end. The workshops are in smaller groups and designed to be highly interactive. And just moving forward to show a couple of images from this past season from what the post-show workshops look like. We have 2 images on the screen where folks have trays with art materials. They are working together to build materials. These moments are usually very community oriented, with the goal of building connections between the folks who came to the programs together and giving that space to build art together, and also to connect with the other folks who are in the room. So other attendees who've just experienced the same type of performance. And this next slide shows 2 of our music therapists who are working in different ways during the program. Over on the left, we have our art educator is standing at the table. She's speaking to a guest or a participant who is working with materials. And on the right, one of the music therapists is with his guitar providing sort of background music to support the energy in the room. So that's one type of engagement with music therapists in this program. The other, we have a photo of one of our former music therapists who's leading a sing-along exercise for the group. So music is very much a part of this program throughout, whether it's the main event of an activity or whether it's there to support. And a little bit of information just about the fall 2022 season that we have coming up. We are planning for 8 programs. 4 of them will be virtual on Zoom and 4 will be in person. We are hoping to announce the season at the end of August. So we are working to set our dates with all of our artists now and make sure that we have everything organized. COVID-19 is definitely always a changing thing, but we are doing our best to both provide an in-person experience that many of our participants in this program are seeking and really looking for, and also to make sure it's as safe as possible for everybody involved. Our expectation is that we'll be asking all attendees to be masked, that we'll be asking all attendees to show proof of vaccination and booster, and also that we'll have smaller group sizes for the performances than we did pre-pandemic, and that we'll keep the pod seating so that folks are sitting the closest to folks that they came in with. Artists and facilitators who are working on the program will all take a test, PCR test within 2 or 3 days of the program itself, depending on what Lincoln Center's requirements are at that time. And I have down here at the bottom, but I'll put this in the chat too. Oh dear, I'll put it in the chat in a moment. lincolncenter.org/moments is the best website to go to register. You can register to join the Moments community. Then you'll receive all updates and you'll be sent the link to register for the programs themselves once we have them announced, and you can take a look through and see which programs are most exciting for you or the folks that you work with. And there's no requirement to sign up for all programs. You can pick and choose the ones that are most interesting to you. We're definitely currently rebuilding our audience after the break of the pandemic. So at the moment, all of our programs definitely have room and space for folks to join. I'm seeing a couple of questions. Are these programs more for people with dementia, or can others benefit Parkinson's? Thank you for that question. These programs are specifically designed for folks with dementia, and that is the audience that we're looking for these programs. We are currently in conversation about using this model and using perhaps the 11 a.m. performance as an opportunity for a relaxed performance and opening up to a wider audience for that. But really, we're looking for folks who are impacted by dementia for this program. That's how everything around it has been designed. And Marcy, I'm seeing your question. Do you consider artists who are not affiliated with Lincoln Center? Yes, definitely. We do work through our programming team at Lincoln Center. So sometimes it's folks who have not yet performed at Lincoln Center, but there's usually a relationship that's already been formed in some way with the idea and the goal being that we're providing an opportunity in an intimate setting for folks to engage with the performers that they would see on any of the stages at Lincoln Center. It's sort of seeking to make that connection. And seeing one more question. I have an aide working with my mom. Should I come with the both of them? Great question. So for us, anyone who is coming together is completely fine from our perspective. With COVID-19, we've had a little bit of a challenge just making sure it's communicated to everybody who's coming that they'll need to show proof of vaccination and booster. So no matter who it is who's coming, whether it's a health aide, whether it's a spouse or a partner, or a group that's coming together, everyone will need to show proof of vaccination and booster. And the only other consideration is that we certainly want people to be in the room. We've had occasions where somebody has asked if they can sort of drop somebody off and come back, and we think of this as a connecting experience. So we certainly want this to be a moment that folks are connecting together while engaging with the art. So that's the only thing to be aware of there when it comes to who might be coming to the performances or not. But yes, certainly open to health aides or caregivers in other forms coming to these performances. You can always indicate on the registration form who will be in attendance, and we're happy to have everybody. I'm going to just move to the last page where we have the email address that I put into the chat for access@lincolncenter.org. And I'll put this phone number in the chat too, which is our accessibility phone line. And with that, I am a little bit out of breath, so I apologize. I think I spoke very quickly there. But if there are any questions that have not already come into the chat, I'd love to hear them.
Katie, are your virtual programs recorded? So is it possible for people to access the virtual programs?
Great question. They are not recorded, partly for artist rights issues, but also just to respect the privacy of everybody who's attending. So we do not record or take any photos of the virtual sessions. In-person sessions, if we're taking photos or something like that, we'll have everyone sign a photo release. If people do not want to be included in that, we'll absolutely honor that. Marcy, I see you have a hand up.
Thank you. First of all, thanks. It was a good presentation. Are there any limitations in terms of people? I mean, from the people who were profiled that spoke about their experience, I'm guessing that most people who participate, meaning the people with dementia, are either early or middle stage. Do you, is it sort of available to anyone? I mean, you don't want to be exclusive to people, but I'm thinking that, you know, people, there may be, I could see that there could be limits, let's say if people had some behavioral issues or things like that. Are there any limitations? And if so, what are they?
Great question. Thank you for that, Marcy. So the short answer to that is no, there are no limits. For the in-person programs and the way that this was designed pre-pandemic, the workshop rooms are divided into different groups. So we ask folks what their preference is, if they would like to be in a room that has a bit more discussion, if they'd like to be in a room that focuses on art making, or if they'd like to be in a room that focuses on music and therapeutic techniques. So I think technically, generally people choose a room that works well for them. And we have the facilitators in each room are definitely experienced working with folks at different levels. We find that the performance itself is a great sort of, it's a level place for folks to engage. And then the workshop rooms, as people come, we try to make sure that they're matched in a room with the educators who will speak the most to them. Our videos and photos certainly reflect folks who sort of self-selected to be a part of those materials. So that is what that is reflecting. But yes, it is certainly open to everybody. And we ask, it's challenging with our registration materials to get a really great sense of who will be in the room. But we do ask folks to sort of share if there's anything that we should be aware of, just like with accommodations, right? But if there's anything we should be aware of behaviorally, just to prepare facilitators for that and to try to, we had early on in our process, we had folks who were in the earlier stages who really wanted to connect with folks who were in the earlier stages. And so we've learned that by breaking the group into smaller workshop rooms with different focuses, where perhaps there's one room where there's less of an expectation of discussion and conversation. There's one room that there's more of an expectation of music being the through line throughout the entire workshop. Tends to support folks well, but we're always open to thoughts and feedback on that. Any other questions?
I just wanted to say that this program is amazing. It's really out of this world. I am flabbergasted. I never expected such a program to be for free. And I appreciate you and all the people who work behind you, behind the stage, all those actors, musicians, actresses, whoever is there. I think it's a wonderful thing to make these people happy and give them a few minutes, an hour of happiness. It brings so much joy. People may think that they're not important, but it is important. It's very important. God bless you, and I really appreciate it. And I'm sure there are other people. I'm talking for other people too. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, and I'll certainly pass that along to the full team.
Please.
seeing questions in the chat. Are these held during the week or mainly on the weekends? Good question. These are all during the week. So they, again, we're nailing down our dates for the fall, so I can't share them just yet. But the expectation that I have at the moment is that these programs will be on Tuesdays or on Thursdays in the fall season. They're on set dates with a performing arts schedule. It's as much as we would like to have it be the same time every week or every month. We're balancing a lot of different performances happening in the same space. So it's not it's not regular week to week, but we announce the full season all at once. So hopefully that allows for choosing the dates that will work for you. But yes, all during the week, all during, during the afternoon or the late morning.
Katie, can I ask you to stop sharing your screen so that we can all see each? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely, yes.
Are there any more questions? I know that Katie has somewhere to go, but I am most grateful to you, Katie, for introducing Lincoln Center to this audience. And I saw Lincoln Center when it just started, Lincoln Center Moments, and I'm just thrilled. You guys have done such an amazing, amazing job. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nancy. And I hope we'll see some of you this fall.
Yes.
Great. Our next guest, Ellen Pizer, just celebrated 5 years as a museum educator for access programs at the Intrepid Sea, Air, and Space Museum. As part of her work on the educator team, she develops programs and resources for visitors with a range of learning styles and abilities. She has a BS in Studies in Education from Bank Street College of Education and a BA in History from Mary Washington University. I'm sorry, she has a master's from Bank Street. Sorry, Ellen. Thank you. So Ellen's going to tell us about the program. Thank you.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm just going to make sure that you can all hear me. If you can give me a thumbs up to make sure that I can be heard. Excellent. Well, my name is Ellen. I am from the Intrepid Museum. I am curious if anybody has been to the Intrepid Museum before or been to any one of our programs. You can give me a thumbs up or a wave or write in the chat. Oh, excellent. We've got some good group of old hats in the audience. Well, welcome. All right, and welcome to those who are learning about our programs for the first time. I'm going to share my screen so that you can see a picture of the Intrepid Museum. The Intrepid Museum is mainly on the USS Intrepid, which was built in 1943 for use during World War II and served until 1974 when it was decommissioned. We became a museum in 1982 and are celebrating 40 years as a museum in New York City, which is very exciting. As a part of our museum, we have the aircraft carrier Intrepid, which you can mainly see in this picture, as well as over 15 different kinds of aircraft, the Space Shuttle Enterprise, the Submarine Growler, and the Concorde Alpha Delta. So we have a lot of different things in our collection to see and talk about and explore at our museum. And as part of our museum, our mission is to educate the public, honor our heroes, and inspire. So we're really happy to have these programs serving individuals with dementia and their care partners at our programs. So let's dive into the type of programming we have for our participants at Intrepid. I'll tell you a little bit of the background. I have a few pictures that I'd like to share. All of our pictures are from pre-pandemic days. So the the crowds are a little bit bigger than they are now, and folks aren't wearing their masks. We just restarted a lot of our stuff in person in April. So we haven't had a lot of in-person stuff quite yet, but we do have a robust offering for the fall that I'm happy to share with you guys. And then at the end, I'll tell you how to register for these upcoming programs if you're interested in joining us. So one of our biggest programs that we do for individuals with dementia and their care partners are our tea dances. So this is a picture of one of the tea dances on Intrepid from 1956. So a tea dance was when the ship was in port in different countries all around the world. The Navy would invite local social groups to come on board the Intrepid. There would be light refreshments and tea and music from the ship's band. And it was the chance for people to build relationships with each other and have a little fun. Just to get some interactiveness going here, I'm curious what you guys see, what you guys notice in this picture of the tea dances on Intrepid. And you can type in the chat, you can give me a wave and unmute. What do you notice about our tea dances? Sorry, I can't see everybody. So if Nancy wants to help me if people are waving. All right, I see in the chat, Mia says everyone.
It says everyone is dressed formally.
Wonderful. Anybody else notice anything about our photograph?
The Navy uniforms.
Yeah, the Navy uniforms. Absolutely, the sailors are all dressed real snappy in their whites. Wonderful. All right, I see in the chats there are sailors. Yeah, they're really identifiable by those uniforms.
It looks like the people at this dance are mostly of people of color, it says.
Oh, yeah. So that is a really great and interesting thing to notice. In the 50s, Intrepid is starting to get a little bit more diverse thanks to some different things that the Navy were trying to do. Wasn't officially desegregated yet. The Navy and Intrepid still was segregated in forms of jobs and opportunities. I think what we're noticing is with this photograph, especially since it's an old picture, a lot of the light and the color are distorted, but there's definitely a growing movement for more inclusion in the Navy during this time. What sticks out to me are all of these floral dresses that the ladies are wearing and their pumps and high heels. Maybe it's because I work at the Intrepid. I'm looking at pictures all day, but it's very rare to see a picture with ladies in them from our collection, because the entire time Intrepid was in service, women were not allowed to work on board as part of the Navy. So it's rare to have pictures of ladies, and we really cherish the ones we do. And in our oral histories and our collections, we have different sailors from the time talk about these tea dances and what a wonderful opportunity it was to meet new people and kind of a highlight being in military service. So with that in mind, what we decided to do was sort of revamp the tea dance and bring it to our audiences in terms of tea dances at Intrepid. We partner with an organization called Rhythm Break Cares, who are specially trained in order to work and dance with individuals with dementia and their care partners. Everyone is welcome. no matter, you know, ability, stage, we all have a great time. During this program, we play music from the time period that Intrepid was in service, and Rhythm Break Pairs leads us in some dancing along with that music. All right, some of the dances are standing, but you can also sit. Some of them are specifically made for folks that are seated, and it's always a really great time. This is, like I said, a picture from before the pandemic. Now that we have brought these programs back, they are all in person. We cap the amount of folks at 30 to make sure folks are comfortable. We have this nice big room that people can spread out in and spread out their chairs and their pods if they'd only like to stay together. Our policy as a museum is that it is up to the person coming whether they prefer to stay masked or not masked, but all of the staff are masked, vaccinated, and boosted inside the space. If you don't want to dance, if you just want to come and hang out, if you need a break, or if you just want a little time to yourself, don't worry. We have opportunities to engage with our collections. We have some touch objects out from our educational collection that educators will be on hand to facilitate looking at, discussing. We also have former crew members that lived and worked on board Intrepid when it was in service in the Navy. They come and they dance with us. In fact, this gentleman over here is on the right-hand side in the red sweatshirt and the blue hat. We call him Dancing Al because he's one of our volunteers that were served on Intrepid that enjoys this program so much. He signs up for everyone and wants to come and engage with folks and talk about what life was like on board the ship when he was here. Our next tea dance is going to be September 14th. We tend to group this program in the spring and in the fall so that hopefully the weather is a little bit nicer. And we have 4 coming up this fall. The first one coming up is in September 14th. They're usually on Wednesdays. So if you want to go to Lincoln Center Moments and come to us, you can do that too. Before I move on to our next program, I'm curious if there's any questions about tea dances. You can feel free to put them in the chat or give me a wave and I'll try to make sure I get to folks about our tea dances. Marcy, I see your hand is up, yes.
I assume if there are still tea dances that you also have some sort of refreshments for the people who come, whether
Yes.
it's tea or something else.
Yes, Marcy, thank you for reminding me. We do serve tea at our tea dances, as well as light refreshments, cookies, some fruit, things like that. And you're more than welcome to bring your own snacks if you would prefer that as well. All right, I see in the chat, what time of day does this occur? It's from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. on select Wednesdays. Also, we do provide transportation by way of Uber if you request it when you sign up. That's an option to choose. It is, this program as well as the transportation is free, and you do not need an Uber account in order to take advantage of the transportation to the museum. So that is a wonderful thing that we'd like to keep continuing in the future. Yes, Marcy.
how is this funded, or is it funded by? And I guess Katie's left, but how are these programs funded? Do they get some sort of governmental funding, or is it private donors or individual donors? What's the funding stream?
So for us, it's a combination. We do get some state funding from the Office of the Governor. We do get a little bit of city funding, as well as private funding from the Mellon Foundation and some other foundations in the city. So it's a little bit of a combination, which is good.
That's amazing that you guys provide transportation for people to get there and get home. I think that really helps people because you're pretty far over there on the west side, right? But I think that's a really lovely component because I think it can be difficult for people to get there. That's really nice. So the programs so far that you've talked about are the tea dances on the Intrepid. You're going to talk about some more things that are happening, right?
Yes, we have 2 other programs that I'd like to mention. They're a little bit smaller than tea dance, but before I leave, I want to make sure I've gotten everybody's questions.
Gola, you have a question?
Yes. When I was in the Interpret, the museum, we had to walk upstairs. Is there a lot of walking?
So that's a great question.
Climbing stairs, because for most people who are elderly, it's very difficult unless you have elevators or a way to get up there. A lot of flights of stairs, if I remember.
Yeah, so we do have an elevator. Our tea dances are on the 2nd level inside of our ship. We have an elevator that'll get you to the 2nd level, as well as an elevator that you do have to walk to the rear of the ship, as well as an elevator that'll, once you walk to the rear, that'll get you up to our great hall space, which is where the dance takes place. I would love for it to be not quite as far away. Unfortunately, we can't change how the ship was made. But if you cannot do stairs, you do not have to do stairs. There are elevator options for all of the stair options at the museum, at least for this program. Yes. Oh, Gula, I'm afraid I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Do you have wheelchairs on the Intrepid? If we come by a taxi or we drive or take an Uber, do you have a wheelchair so we can borrow it and leave it behind?
That is a great question. Unfortunately, we don't provide wheelchairs on site, and that's because of the floor of the ship does have a couple of interesting quirks to it because it is a former aircraft carrier. We want to make sure that folks that are coming are comfortable with the chair that they're bringing. So we don't provide wheelchairs on site. We do have a company that we work with where if you request, we can point you to them if you need to rent a wheelchair, or if you bring your own, we are, it is more than great to come with that.
Thank you.
We also provide portable lightweight stools that you can check out at any point. Whether you come to this program or you come as just a general visitor. If you ever need to sit anywhere in our museum, you can check one out and bring that along with you.
Great. There's a question of, is there a distance limitation for the Ubers?
That is a great question. I know we have picked up folks from all over the island of Manhattan. And I know we have picked folks up from places like Penn Station before, if you were coming from outer boroughs like Queens. I'm not sure if we've done interboroughs, like gone up to the Bronx or Brooklyn before. But if you email us with that question, I can find out for you and let you know.
Thank you.
All right. All right. So if there's no more questions, I'll go on to our other programs. Our other programs are relatively new compared to our tea dance. We were starting to really get up and running with them before the pandemic hit, which made it a little bit more complicated. But we're happy to be working on them again and be able to start offering them again to our audiences. So the first is our Stories Within Offsite art series. This picture was from a Stories Within that we did at Intrepid. There is me over here with different hair, as well as one of our aircraft restoration specialists. Our aircraft restoration team are a little bit like curators at the museum. They take care of our aircraft. They make sure everything is in tip-top ship shape. They do a lot of really interesting work, not only with the mechanics of airplanes, but also with art and design. And really cool, some really cool hands-on stuff. So when this program was at the museum, this is a little bit like what it looked like. But we've decided to transition this to more of an off-site art series. So if you work at or you know anybody that is in a memory care center or residential center that would like a program like this, we would love to hear from you. These programs are by request, and there's also a virtual option. So if folks are still a little bit concerned about outside people coming into a center, then we can certainly do this program virtually instead. This program combines history and fuses it with visual arts, design, or we even have a music option, which we're really interested in and sort of fun designing for this new space, both virtually and in person.
Ellen, what's happening in this slide that we're looking at? What is the person actually doing or making there?
Oh, great question. I did mean to explain a little bit more about what that is. So what they're doing is a riveting demonstration. So you might have heard of Rosie the Riveter from a lot of World War II posters and slogans, but not many people know what riveting that job actually is. And it's something that we have to do at the museum all the time, because put simply, riveting is taking two pieces and fastening them together with the equivalent of a round metal staple. So Dina is holding this red metal plate, and our participants with my assistants are using a rivet squeezer. All right, that applies pressure to both sides of the rivet and changes its shape in order to keep those two plates together. This is a pretty cool manual version of a rivet, but there's also different sorts of power tools that you can use for the same process, or especially if you can't get to the other side of the metal. You can only get to one side. There are different rivets that you'd use there. So this demonstration was a riveting demonstration, talking a little bit about the history of riveting, how it's seen in the aircraft that we have on board, and then being able to do a little riveting yourself, which is tons of fun. Great. I'm just gonna check the chat. All right. Yeah, it is a great exercise of motor skills, and we do have a lot of support from our staff on site to make sure everything's done safely for, especially this one, because some things can get a little heavy. But it is a really good time, and it's really fun to, once you've done your rivets, to look at them closely and feel them and trace the pattern and things like that. So this program is by request. We're hoping to get some requests for it soon. And then our last program is our Caregiver Appreciation Day. So we have this program once a year. It's coming up on September 28th, which we're really excited about. And it's a day for caregivers to come to the museum. We just have a really nice, relaxing time together. We have some snacks, some light food. Folks can connect with each other. We also have our volunteers come. This is one of our volunteers here on the left. He was a former helicopter pilot on the Intrepid when it was in service, and he came to share some of his stories, as well as he brought some of his artifacts. We brought some of his artifacts that he donated to the museum up from collections, so people could get a sort of a sneak peek behind the scenes of some of his stuff, including his flight helmet, which when he was in service, he decorated with this really cool star pattern using electrical tape, which was really interesting to see. We do a small tour, as well as some opportunities for some hands-on learning experiences. In this picture, folks are sitting on our aircraft elevator, which was used to originally transport airplanes from different levels of the ship. And we're talking a little bit about how that was done while the aircraft elevator moves us instead of airplanes. So it's a good fun time had by all. And that's coming up on September 28th.
And the title for that is Caregiver Appreciation Day. So is that day specifically for care partners and not for people with dementia? That's my question, Ellen.
Yes, indeed. It's for our care partners and not for people with dementia.
Okay, good to know. Thank you for that. Are there other questions for Ellen?
Yes, from either our arts series or our care partner appreciation day.
Ellen, can you let us know in the chat how people sign up for the Intrepid programs?
Sure. In fact, I have
Thank
a
you.
slide.
Okay, great. Yes, sure.
So I can put that up real big. Right. So we have a couple of different options depending on what you feel like doing. All right, once I finish talking, I will put some registration links in the chat, or you could go to our website, www.intrepidmuseum.org/education/storieswithin. All right. And you can find the same registration links that I'll drop in the chat on our website. You could also email access@intrepidmuseum.org. That's the same email I put in at the top of our program. Or you could call 646-381-5158. You'll get my colleague Andrea, who does all of our booking for us. All right. And tell them that you'd like to sign up for any one of these upcoming programs.
Ellen, is there a link for the tea dances as well?
Yes, I will drop them in the chat. All right. Share. I'm just going to stop the share real quick so I can drop those in the chat and make sure that I've done the right ones. There's the tea dance. And we also have the link for the care partner appreciation day. Those are in the chat now.
Great. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you very much for giving us that lovely presentation. And thanks for being with us tonight.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're going to move on to Elizabeth Gronke. Elizabeth has been in the field of dementia care for over 20 years in settings ranging from museums to memory care residences to private homes. She's a registered art therapist and is hired by private families and organizations to develop and lead creative dementia programs through her business Silver Bright Circle. The American Folk Art Museum hires her to coordinate their Folk Art Reflections program designed for individuals with dementia diagnosis and their families and caregivers. Welcome, Elizabeth. Thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. And even though I know about those two other programs that have already been talked about, it's still amazing and thrilling for me to see all that happens. And I share your amazement and pleasure that some of you have expressed that these are free. And so many ways have been found to make these programs accessible. So I'm happy to be part of the whole field of this. I'm going to start by putting my phone number in there. I realized by seeing other people doing that this is another way people can register from the programs. It's a little indirect because it doesn't come to me except through my supervisor. So, but this is one way to reach me. So, as Nancy said, I work with the American Folk Art Museum, and I might as well start by sharing my screen. Hold on, actually, I always like to make sure I have it all queued up. Yes, I do. And here's my little slideshow. So here's my name, the logo. And then I always like to ask people if you've ever been to the American Folk Art Museum. Now that I'm screen sharing, I can't really see all of you, but I see some hands up. So if you've been to this museum, some people say, I haven't been since you moved to your new site. Some people have been to the old location that used to be in a really weirdly skinny building next to MoMA or near MoMA. It is now across from Lincoln Center on that sort of triangular intersection there on Columbus Avenue. And it's a really nice, small, free museum. It's just a little gift, a little gem to the city of New York. We always have interesting exhibits going on. And because it's free and because it's small, you can just pop in and see what's there. Without any pressure to make a whole day of it. So I really do encourage any of you to pop in if you happen to be in that neighborhood. I also like to start, even though I know this is an education program meant to tell you about exactly what these programs are all about, we might as well ask the question, so what is folk art? And again, now that I'm screen sharing, I won't be able to see anything you type into the chat, but when I say folk art, what is the first thing that comes to mind? If you can say it out loud if you want, or you can type it in and maybe Nancy will be able to see it for me.
Art made by people, sometimes untrained, what we would think of as untrained academically or otherwise untrained artists. Outsider art, for example.
Right, that's another name that it's been called, or another category of folk art is called outsider art. But yeah, very much, it's an interesting term. It's like outside of what, like who's putting them out? But yeah, it's art of the people, by the people, and not people that have been trained in an art school. So here we're looking at any other comments about what folk art is, or what you think of when I say the words folk art? Thought I almost heard a voice. Okay. So yeah, this is somewhat exemplary of what we have in our collection. Was there someone else? Oh, maybe Patrice accidentally unmuted. Okay, so we have a quilt. We have a gorgeous quilt collection. We have this sculpture in the middle that was made by a self-taught artist. We have an early American portrait made by, sort of one of the big names in early American portraiture. So there's a lot of early American art, historical art, mysterious art, punk rock art, like just a huge range of stuff. And the reason I'm presenting it here is that I think the fact that this is the subject matter, this is the culture that we're bringing to our audiences, it's accessible. A lot of our artwork is made by people who maybe didn't start making art till they retired from their work as a shipbuilder, or these are people who had an idea and just couldn't rest till they had made it, some of them. So it's a very approachable art form, or not art form, art category. So I'm going to go through some of the main thing that we provide. So there's several sections of something called Folk Art Reflections, and that's the program that I do with the American Folk Art Museum. So we have a monthly program. It's now it's on Zoom. It used to be in the galleries. I have a little screenshot of one of our typical web pages. It's dated, but you get the idea. And I put in some bullet points that just sort of key things to know about Folk Art Reflections. These are interactive, discussion-based Zoom programs. So I'll choose a theme, and then I'll put together a little slideshow of maybe 5 artworks at the most, and artworks that are interesting to me, the artworks that I have something to share about, artworks that I know will get people noticing and talking. And then I lead a discussion. Occasionally there will be an art making component, but that's pretty tricky to do it to do at home from Zoom. So most of the time it's very much discussion based. It's almost always on the first Thursday of the month, of course. September is an exception to that. Now that I've written that down, it's almost always on the first Thursday of the month. This coming month, it will be on the second Thursday. It'll be on the 8th of September. It's free of charge. It is designed for individuals with dementia to enjoy with a care partner, although some people join by themselves. We do not record them very deliberately so that it doesn't feel like something that, so that people feel very free to talk and share and add, and it's not going to be watched by anyone else. And it's very low tech compared to some of these other programs we were learning about. It's just me and the education department head. So the way to register is to email me. And I write you back and say, you're on the list, and here's the link's going to come the next day. So I can definitely come back to this later if anybody has any other questions about what the Folk Art Reflections monthly programs are like. I wanted to sort of run through a list of some of the topics that I've talked about, that I told you I make a little presentation based on topics. I've done one about text in art, like how artists use language. I did one about gift giving in the folk art collection, really interesting works of art that were made to be given away as a gift. I've done one about fantasy landscapes. So landscapes that are just almost literally out of this world. I did a whole one about the bird decoy collection. We have a gorgeous decoy collection. And so I chose some interesting birds and linked them with scientific information about those birds. I've done presentations about whatever exhibition happens to be up, like I'll do a best of, and say, here's what's in the gallery, here's a virtual tour of what's in the galleries right now. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of what we talk about. I really try to make it fun and interesting and not too big, not too crowded. So that anyone who wants to contribute to the conversation can do so. It's my wish. All right. Any questions in the chat I should know about? Oh, you're muted right now.
Sorry. Marcy asked, is it just collection based? Do you at all work with contemporary folk artists?
We work with what's in the collection, and yes, and there are contemporary artists in the collection. So yeah, there's a lot of historical stuff, but we do have some interesting new and younger artists too. So I do try to bring that in when it fits with my theme.
How long are the sessions, Elizabeth, and what
Oh,
time
yeah.
do they start?
Oh yes, sorry about that. Yes, it's from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock. First Thursday of the month, almost always.
Okay, 1 to 2, the first Thursday of the month.
Yes.
And Marcy asked, I meant if you have live artists involved in the presentation.
No, that hasn't been part of it. That's a nice idea, though. That would be really exciting. We, you'll see in later on, we have a music component. I'm noticing the Lincoln Center has art, art making. The Intrepid has art and music. We bring in music. So I'm seeing a theme here that all of these programs sort of see the benefits of sort of many modalities, many ways of making a connection. So I do hire musicians, but I have never thought to bring in an artist. They would have to be a really special artist, to be able to have work that we want to discuss and be able to work with our groups, to have the skills to be able to work with people with dementia and their caregivers. So, but if I met someone like that, I would love to bring them in. Okay, I'm going to move on to another component of what is folk art reflections. And that is the music. So I'm showing 2 pictures here. We do basically a quarterly series. We try to have 4 concerts a year. I love it when each concert sort of correlates to a different exhibition. And sometimes I hire the musician based on those other criteria I was just talking about their ability to work with people with dementia, but also their ability to sort of connect with what's in the room, So for example, on the left, this was pre-pandemic, we had an exhibition of quilts. And I thought, wouldn't it be amazing to bring in a vocal artist so we could sort of do a song circle, sort of like how quilts are, many quilts are made in community, sitting around in the circle. And so I thought, wow, what if we could do that with voice? And she totally did it. She did it. She was a wonderful vocal teacher. And then on the right side, you can see how we adapted. Sometimes Zoom can be quite wonderful and intimate, and you can see this charming musician that we hired. She's bilingual in Spanish, so this was a special program that was done in Spanish and English, and only related indirectly to our collection, but was still a really nice way to offer a way to be connected to the museum. And yeah, so these we make, we schedule, we make announcements, we spread the word, we put it up on our website. And if you're interested, you would email me again, and I would get you on the list. And these are very also interactive. I do call them concerts, but they're really meant to be playing a song, talking, playing another song, talking. I think there might be some. Okay. Folk art from various forms of folk music. Yeah, somebody was saying, oh, Marcy, were you saying that about folk music? Yeah, the first group I hired, that was very much, that was my idea. And I did just hire a really great blues musician to play guitar and sing.
Yeah, Elizabeth, I'm sorry. Are these programs still virtual? Are they in person, or everything is virtual now? Is that what's going
Pretty
on?
much, yeah, pretty much everything is virtual. That's a big difference between what I'm presenting for all of you today versus what the two previous presenters shared. They have a lot going on in person and we still don't. We will hopefully get back to it, but for now, all of the things I'm showing you are on Zoom.
Thank you.
Yeah, there are, if any of you are affiliated with a day program or a residence or something like that and would like to talk about bringing a group in, I have been doing that occasionally over the past couple of years, but it's hit and miss. You know, sometimes people sign up and then they can't do it. You know, it's, as we all know, it's very tricky. So yeah, this is all on Zoom right now. Any questions about the music program before I move along? Okay, we can always come back to it if something comes up. So the other thing that we provide, which we've just started this year, is a caregiver series. This is also quarterly. The first series we did was in April, and it was sort of traditional in that it was meant to be just for caregivers. But we had a lot of caregivers telling us that it's quite hard to make that time. You know, it's hard to, even just in your own home, you know, to log into a Zoom program and know for sure that this is not going to be, this is going to be segregated time just for yourself. So the next one that we did, which was just at the end of last month, was more open, more inclusive. So it was designed for caregivers. It was also on Zoom, but if the person with dementia wanted to be there or had you know, needed to be there, that was okay. And we and sort of mixed results about how that went, but we're working on trying to figure out the best way to provide art programming that's for caregivers that serves everyone the best. So if you have any advice you want to give us about that, I very much welcome it.
Lisa says in the chat, I appreciate Zoom options as Manhattan isn't so accessible for my loved one. Zoom is perfect for them.
Great. I'm so glad, Lisa. Yeah, and I'm sure this has been true for a lot of other programs too. We've managed to reach more people through this. You know, there's a group in Indiana who just loves the folk art museum now, and they sign up for everything. So I'm really glad that it works for you. Oh, Marcy has a connection for me for a bluegrass musician. Okay, great. Let me know who that is. Feel free to email me.
There's another
question. Yeah, are there bilingual options? Basically, so far it's just been the music program that we've done about one bilingual music program a year. There's another bilingual thing I'm going to share with you in a moment. But in terms of public programs, not so much. I speak enough Spanish to be able to do some bilingual programming, but if there's a group that speaks Spanish, like a whole day program, let's say, then that can be arranged, you know, that I would do a Zoom program just for that group and it would be in Spanish. And so I guess the answer is yes, there are bilingual options, but our monthly program is generally in English. So the caregiver program is sort of a work in progress, but it's out there, you know, and our next one will make sure that you know about it if you want to know more. Next thing that we offered was totally a product of the pandemic. When the pandemic started and I didn't know what our community partners wanted or needed, a lot of groups weren't on Zoom yet. I offered to make little short videos. And sort of like my public programs, I would select a theme, select a few artworks, and quite frankly, slap together a little video with some basic editing software and do it in a way that hopefully would appeal to enough people that they would enjoy it. So I've continued it at a much slower pace than when the pandemic started, but this is a screenshot of the YouTube page that has the playlist of all 15 videos, and 2 of those are in Spanish. So that's nice to be able to share that with Spanish speaking people. And this is on the Folk Art Museum's YouTube channel. So if the best way to find, I'm not sure how to drop a link like our other presenters did. I might try to drop the link, as they say. But yeah, these are potentially a really nice way to spend 15 minutes or a little longer. They're designed so that a care partner can pause it in the midst of a few times during the video to foster conversation. Do I need to wrap up, Nancy?
No, I looked at my
Okay.
watch and I said, let us see one, Elizabeth.
Oh,
One.
oh
No,
my goodness.
you're
Okay, well,
fine.
this isn't a link. This isn't a link. I didn't queue one up.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, you guys, but you all can, if you're interested, take a peek. You can scroll through and see which topic sounds the most interesting for you, and you get to see my hair in various stages of growth. Okay, so the videos are another part of Folk Art Reflections, and the last page here is the way to contact us. As I've been saying, this is my email address. This is our website. And I thought I would show one of my favorite artworks in the collection, which is this quilt made out of strips of silk, if you can imagine that. And not made by some lady in early America, but made by a male Jewish immigrant to New York City living on the Lower East Side.
Wow.
Yeah. So I love the stories that come with the artworks, and I love sharing it with everyone. I'm trying to, okay, I'm gonna stop sharing this for a second. Because I think there was something else I wanted to show you. Oh no, that's it. Thank you for sticking around through the whole time to hear more about what we offer.
No, thank you. It was lovely. And I'd like to thank all of our presenters tonight for being here with us. I'm so glad to be able to really let people know what's happening, because as you heard while we were talking today, people were just amazed that this stuff was actually happening. And I feel really really honored that you guys decided to come in and let us see what you're up to, so that people can take advantage of the work that you do. Are there questions? Are there other questions tonight as we go forward? I think the guests were pretty clear about their programs, but you might have other kinds of questions. We're here for a while yet still.
Trying to drop a link.
Anybody? just so you know, there are many programs at the museums and cultural institutions in New York City, in addition to what we saw tonight. So if you're interested in a long list of those programs, you can certainly go onto our website and look at Connect to Culture, and you'll see that there are other programs happening. So while we saw some really select programs tonight, there are also other things going on throughout the city, some virtually and some in person now, including the Botanic Gardens, and a lot of the other museums are also offering programs. Questions? Everyone's questioned out tonight. It's been lovely. It's been lovely to hear all of you speaking tonight, and it's good to sit here and to know what it's like for the person with dementia on the other side of this as well, because I think that everyone was very clear and loving in the presentation, and I think that's a really nice thing. Anybody else? We're going to wrap it up early if we're all done tonight. So last chance. Thank you for
inviting me.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Great to see
You're
everybody.
welcome. Will there be other meetings like this in the future? Sure. Sure, we'll continue to do this. We can continue to invite cultural partners just so that you can see the inside of programs. I think that's a really good idea. Thank you for that. Our next Monday night education meeting is about cannabis use and dementia from a doctor. So if you're interested in that, it's a Monday night education meeting. Otherwise, good night, everyone, and we'll see you. Thanks a lot. Stay cool.
Wait, Nancy?
Yes?
I was trying to access the initial context that was shared in the beginning. I switched devices and I lost it. So when you told everyone to share information in the beginning, like the very beginning.
So did you miss the information about how to get a hold of Lincoln Center Moments?
I have.
Do you have the access
yes.
to Intrepid?
No, I lost the information for Lincoln Center and I have Intrepid, so just Lincoln Center again.
Okay. I'm glad you have the Intrepid stuff. Bye. Thanks, Ellen. Let me see if I have it in the chat here. I probably do. Let me keep going backwards and I'll find it for you, okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure, no problem.
Hi, is there a way to connect to the Botanical Gardens activities you mentioned?
Yes. Are you talking about the Brooklyn Botanic Gardens or the New York?
Brooklyn. Brooklyn would be
Yes,
helpful.
yes. You can call the Brooklyn Botanic Gardens. I mean, I don't have that information on me at this very second, but I can email it to you tomorrow. Can you put your email address in the chat? That would help me. I'm looking for the Lincoln Center Moments.
There it is. Thank you.
I would like to have it also.
Okay.
Okay, Gula, can you put your stuff in the chat?
Nancy, I just put in the overall website, which is bbg.org.
Okay, thank you. Hang on a second. Hang on a second.
Okay.
Because
I'm a member, I just don't know what's available for my mom.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it's called Brooklyn Afternoons is the name of the program.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can call and ask specifically about that program. Did you get the, Naya, did you get the Lincoln Center information? I just put it up. There we go.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Don't see it on the website.
It's on there, I think, but I will like I said, I'll look it up and get it to you tomorrow, okay? I don't
Thank
have it
you.
on my hands right now.
Thank you.
I'll send it to you, and Gula, I'll send you that Brooklyn Botanic Gardens. But you can also, like I said, you can go on the Caring Kind website, and there is a list of partners that we have there.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
sure.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. It's nice to see you.
Thank you.
How are things going?
Thank God. Thank God.
Yeah.
Better. I must confess that since I took your course, I became a different person. I finally understood what was wrong with my husband. What was okay with him, what was wrong with me.
Oh.
Because I was having a lot of problems, and I have a lot of issues and anger and frustration, and it was like hitting a head on the wall. And and finally, it wasn't really his fault. It was a disease talking to me, and I could not judge him as a person and be angry with him.
You look 100% better than when I met you a couple of months ago.
I eat better. After surgery also, I have come a long way. I do my exercises every day. I take my walk. I have the energy to do that. And it's hard. And you know what? I leave him alone, and he likes to be alone.
Yeah.
He likes to be alone. He can't hear much.
Right.
And sometimes I spend time with him explaining or show him pictures or grandchildren and news in the family.
Yeah.
Much as I can, but I've become a different person. He stayed the same, and I changed. And I changed from one side all the way to the other side. Am I happier? I was really miserable. I was angry. But now there's nothing to be angry about. Now, I don't know even how to thank you. I think that course was wonderful. And if I repeat that course and just listen to others and listen to what you have to say, there's a lot of things that I didn't hear 100% because I was in my own thoughts and processing it. And the time of 4 weeks gave me enough time to think about it all week. It was food for the thought and come to the conclusions that I had to come to. Because just to learn and not to act upon it is ridiculous. It's like having 10 commandments and not doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
which course?
Gula is talking about the family caregiver workshop. I do a family caregiver workshop once a week for 3 hours. It's a 12-hour workshop for family members. If you're interested in it, you can call and sign up for it. I'm doing the next one in early October. I think the date is October 9th, but I don't want to say that for sure. Could be the 7th. It might be the 7th.
I think you've got to capture Gula's comments. This would be like the absolute best testimonial.
Well, as far as I know, the camera is still rolling. So
I wanted to I've taken many therapies. I've gone to many places. I have cried, I have laughed, I have spoke to, nobody really wants to hear your to friends, but here I had an audience, somebody understood me, and somebody could explain to me, and I could capture and respect that person to absorb and think about it. And suddenly it clicked. And I said, wow, what a shame I have wasted all these years. And I think my husband had this dementia in his 50s, not when he's 90.
Yeah.
All these years I was angry.
Yeah.
Understanding Dementia for Family and Friends, is that the course?
No, it's Family Caregiver Workshop.
Oh.
It's called Family Caregiver Workshop.
Would you allow me to come again and just listen?
Yes, you can come again, but we need to give it a little time between now and the next time, okay?
Of course. Yes, and each group is different.
Each group is different, yes. But let's let it settle in. Let's let the cake set. It's lovely. Thank you, Gula. I appreciate it. I really do.
No, it's from the bottom of my heart.
I believe you.
I'm a new person, and I can't thank you enough. It was a miracle a great miracle. I'm a new person. I told my children and they see the difference. My husband sees the difference.
All right, you've touched me. I'm completely touched. Thank you.
You changed me. I worked hard, but I was changed with all the effort that you put in, all the correct things you said at the right time, and you explained it one by one, and you answered all our questions. It was very painful. Reality set in, and he told me always that I'm crazy. Yesterday he told me that I'm crazy, but you know, I laughed it off, you know, because the disease is talking, not him. And look who to get insulted from someone who is himself not well. So
well, there you go. See, you got it.
It's not worth even to blink your eye and to get upset.
I know. I
Like,
know. Well, we're human, you know. Come on.
Yes.
The answer to the question, Naya. Naya, is this you from Atria? Are you from Hi, Naya.
Hello.
Naya, you've already got all the pearls of my wisdom. We don't do family caregiver workshops for professionals unless they are a family member. Like if you're
okay.
you can be a professional, but if your grandmother has dementia, because we're going to approach it from the family point of view.
Oh, okay.
Naya, look at you on my meeting. Nice to see you. Yeah.
Likewise.
Yeah. You doing all right?
Yes, thanks for asking. How are you?
Good. I'm all right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
It seemed like it would be such an informative workshop.
Yeah.
That's why I asked.
There are so many good programs. There are many good programs out there. We got 3 tonight. The Metropolitan Museum does several programs. Arts and Minds does programs. Arts and Minds does programs in English and Spanish for that matter. Museo del Barrio used to do programs also in Spanish, just putting that out there. But there are many, many good programs out there for people with dementia and their caregivers. These are 3 we saw tonight, and they're all amazing. I've seen most of them. I've been to a lot of them. And I especially appreciate Elizabeth's approach to this thing, just so you know, because I'm watching Elizabeth very slowly rolling this stuff out. And I know what she does. And I love the Folk Art Museum. And if people ever say to me, what program would I send people to? I always say the Folk Art Museum. I do have a sweet spot there because I think the materials are really accessible, and that they're lined out in a way that's very lovely. In the Intrepid program, I've been there, and it is truly amazing. They share objects with people with dementia, and the objects are very interesting because they're just things that we've never really dealt with before. And so it's also a lovely program. I know Rhythm Break Cares. I trained those people. I trained them like 12 years ago. I trained the leader of that program and his staff. And Rhythm Break Cares is lovely. You don't have to know how to dance. They just get people moving, and they're very easy, and they're very good with people with dementia. So that's happening on the Intrepid. And you saw Lincoln Center Moments, and it's astonishing, and to see these programs really develop over the years, and just make things more interesting and better for people, giving them choices and stuff like that. So it's been lovely, fun night. And next month, marijuana. Very strange, but hey, well, give it a try and see what happens. Yeah. Anybody else? I don't know. Do I know everybody? I don't know everybody on the meeting, but now here we are in this smaller meeting. This is the after party. You know, when you have a party and then the best guests stay till last and you can hang out and relax after the party. Anyhow, yeah. Are there any other real questions here?
I was just looking on
Yeah.
the Caring Bridge, Caring Kind website.
Yeah.
I see the family course that you named Family Caregiver Workshop. It says Mandarin, but I don't see a regular one, if that makes sense.
You might not be, I don't know why it's not up there. Mine is actually happening in October.
Okay.
you gave me your email address,
Yes.
right? So I will email you information about the Family Caregiver Workshop tomorrow, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
What is your first name?
Oyenka. That's my last name is Bruce.
What is it? Bruce?
Oyenka is my first name, Oyinka, and my last name is Bruce. Yeah, like
Okay.
Bruce Lee. Bruce.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'll email it to you tomorrow, okay?
I appreciate it.
All right. You're welcome. Anybody else? Okay. All right.
Thank you, Nancy. Take care.
You're funny. You're funny. Yeah, you're
How am
welcome.
I funny?
I don't know. I wasn't expecting you here. This is funny. It's nice. Thank you for coming.
No, of course.
Yeah. And you know, it's really good to find out about all these programs, of course, you know.
Absolutely. I'm trying to figure out how to incorporate this in our setting. And I'm hoping that we can do things in person as well, but definitely the virtual, I'm going to incorporate that in our programming.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, some of these people, like you can bring Elizabeth to the facility, or you can bring
Right.
the intrepid people to the facility.
Oh, okay.
So, right, because Ellen said that, you know, that you can invite them to come to your program.
Oh, I'm glad you reiterated that. Thank you.
Yeah, and Elizabeth said that as well. Yeah. Yeah, or y'all can just trip up to Lincoln Center. Woo! It's so cool. It's so cool, you know, because I mean, you never get to talk to the musicians, right? I mean, they're way up there on the stage, and even if you're in the front row, you're not talking to them. But in this
Exactly.
program, it's so small that they take questions. Like, hey, do you have a question for the cello player? Hey, you know, how fun is that? That they share their stories or you know, or their interest in music. How wonderful is that to get that, you know, firsthand story as well as sound, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It really is. I have no complaints. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Anybody else?
I'm just looking for like all these activities. I look forward to been taking care of my mom during the pandemic. It's been hard, and
It's been
just
really
trying
hard.
to find things to keep her connected and safe. So I'm really
Yeah.
glad for what you shared here today. And so anything else you can offer would be really helpful for me.
Yeah. Yeah, give us a call. Okay, give me a call. Here's my phone number.
Okay.
Okay, sounds like you can. Have you called the helpline to talk to somebody there?
Yeah, I have, and I'm in a support group I started, but it's been difficult. Yeah.
It is difficult. It is difficult, and it's okay to reach out when you feel like that. And I know it's weird to call a stranger, but you can call me. And I'm not a stranger anymore.
Thank you.
Okay, I might not answer the phone. I have to say that because I'm not here all the time, but I'll
Okay.
get your message
Okay.
and I'll call you back.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
that'll happen. Or you can call the helpline and talk to whoever's there 9 to 5.
Okay.
And they'll, you know, they'll help you too.
Okay.
That's why we're here.
Thanks. I don't always know what to ask. It's just yeah.
We do silence too.
Okay. Thank you.
We do silence too. It's okay.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I have to leave. I say goodbye to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you again.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye-bye. Nice meeting you all.
Take care.
Good
Okay.
luck.
Ciao. All right, guys. I guess this is it. Good night. Take care. Bye, Naya. Bye, Althea.
Good night. Bye.
Good night. See you later. Bye. Next meeting.